Imagine holding in your hand a single penny, 1 cent. Something so ordinary you could walk past it 1,000 times without a second glance. But what if I told you that inside that little coin could be hidden a fortune, enough money to change your life forever? What if the very penny you nearly dropped in a tip jar last week was actually worth more than the house you live in? That's not fantasy. That's not rumor. This is the haunting, overlooked reality of the 1949 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. And here's the part that should make your heart race. The mint never intended for this coin to carry such a secret. They didn't design it to be a treasure. In fact, it slipped through the cracks, born in a moment of transition when America was finding its footing again after the war. And because of that moment, a handful of these pennies became something no one could have predicted, living relics worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But before we get there, I need you to ask yourself one chilling question. How many pennies have you already let slip through your hands without ever stopping to look? The story begins in 1949. America was rebuilding. Families were hopeful. And the Lincoln cent was a symbol of stability in a changing world. Philadelphia struck millions of them that year. No mint mark, just the clean, unmarked face of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. To the average person, these coins were nothing special. Just pocket change, tossed into drawers, forgotten in jars. But here's where the cracks form in the story. Because hidden among those ordinary cents were tiny mistakes, imperfections, errors so subtle most eyes never noticed, double dies that twisted the date into ghost-like shadows, misaligned strikes that left Lincoln's profile off-center, distorted, almost surreal. Even planchets, those little blank discs of metal, that were the wrong thickness, the wrong composition, or struck twice by accident. And the cruelest twist, most people spent them without ever knowing. Imagine holding a penny worth a year's salary and handing it to a cashier for a pack of gum. It happened, more times than you'd ever believe. Now pause. Feel that weight in your chest? That pull of curiosity. That's not just nostalgia. That's the spark of possibility. Because the same mistake that robbed others could be the miracle waiting in your own collection. Think about it. Somewhere in America, a dusty cigar box in an attic, an old coffee can in a garage, a childhood coin album tucked away for decades. One of these forgotten 1949 no-mint mark pennies is hiding, silent, patient, waiting for the moment someone finally sees it for what it truly is. And here's the truth collectors don't want shouted too loudly. Some of these pennies have surfaced in auctions. They didn't sell for a few $100s. They didn't even stop at tens of thousands. They climbed into the staggering heights of nearly $1 million. Yes, one penny, up to $949,000. Now imagine the emotions of the man or woman who pulled that coin from obscurity. 1 minute they're an ordinary person sorting through pocket change. The next, they're staring at the key to a new life, a chance to pay off every debt, to secure their family's future, to step into freedom. That's the dream, isn't it? To find wealth not in Wall Street, not in lottery tickets, but hidden in plain sight, in the coins we hold every single day. But how can you tell if you're the one holding destiny between your fingers? Here's the map. Look closely at the 1949 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Study the date. Does the 9 curl thicker than it should? Does the 4 seem shadowed, doubled? Are the letters in Liberty crisp and even, or do they blur, faint echoes of themselves? Turn it in the light. Does Lincoln's profile look slightly doubled, as though history stamped him twice? And the edges, are they even? Or does the coin seem off balance, as if something went wrong in that hidden moment of minting? Each of these clues is a doorway. Each detail could be the sign that your coin is not just a penny, but a treasure. Don't assume it's worthless. Don't spend it without looking. And for heaven's sake, don't let a pawn shop wave you off with pocket change when you could be holding life-changing wealth. Because here's the secret the world doesn't want to admit. History doesn't just live in museums. It lives in your hands, in your change, in the coins your grandparents left behind. And when history collides with error, rarity is born. And rarity is priceless. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you sift through that old jar of pennies you've ignored for years, ask yourself, what if? What if the key to a new life is already in your possession, and all that stands between you and freedom is the courage to look closely? Right now, this exact penny, the 1949 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, has been valued at up to $949,000. And it could be sitting in someone's pocket right now. Imagine this. A coin so ordinary it slips through millions of hands unnoticed. A coin so small, so silent, it jingled in lunch counters and gas stations across America in 1964. Yet hidden in the shadows of history, one version of this coin carries a secret so powerful it could change a life in an instant. A single penny, born in Denver, that today whispers of fortunes worth nearly $1 million. You might think you know the Lincoln penny. The copper face we've all seen. The coin you've left buried in coffee cans or tucked inside your grandfather's drawer. But the 1964 Lincoln cent is not what it seems. Because beneath its common copper skin lies a mystery forged in the fire of America's most turbulent year. Picture it. 1964. A nation split by change. Kennedy's assassination still raw in every heart. The mint under pressure to strike billions of coins for a booming economy. Machines working around the clock, engraving Abraham Lincoln's face in endless repetition. And yet, somewhere inside those Denver presses, a handful of coins were struck with flaws so subtle, so bizarre, that collectors decades later would call them miracles of mischief. 1 penny. Two worlds. On one side, just another cent. On the other, a golden key to unimaginable wealth. What went wrong in Denver? Some say the dies were misaligned, leaving Lincoln's profile stretched like a ghost across copper. Others whisper about double strikes. Pennies stamped not once, but twice, creating a shadowy twin image that looks more like a secret signature than a mistake. And then there are those rarer still, pennies where the D-mint mark itself tells a story. Tilted, doubled, or in the wrong place altogether, as though the mint worker's hand trembled during engraving. Now here's the part that makes hearts race. Most of these pennies disappeared into circulation, spent on candy bars, sodas, a gallon of gas. They were forgotten, overlooked, lost in pockets and drawers. Yet every so often one surfaces. A collector at a flea market. A man cleaning out his father's desk. A woman rolling coins for laundry who pauses, just for a second, and realizes she is holding a six-figure treasure in the palm of her hand. What if I told you that today one of these 1964 D-era pennies sold at auction for more than $660,000? Think about that. A single cent, worth more than most homes in America. Now let me ask you, when was the last time you actually looked at your pennies? Not just saw them, but studied them. What if one of those coins, right now, sitting at the bottom of a dusty jar in your house, could pay off every debt you've ever had? Here's how to know. The 1964 D you want to find won't reveal itself easily. You'll need to hold it close, under light, and look for secrets in its face. Examine the mint mark D. Is it sharp and precise? Or is it doubled? A faint echo beside the real letter? Study Lincoln's profile. Do you see a faint doubling around his chin, his lips, his eye? Flip the coin. Check the words 1 cent. Are they thickened, doubled, blurred, like a shadow lives inside the letters? These are the clues. The treasure map carved into copper. But there's a warning. Many coins from 1964 look ordinary. Imagine this. A coin so ordinary it slips through millions of hands unnoticed. A coin so small, so silent, it jingled in lunch counters and gas stations across America in 1964. Yet hidden in the shadows of history, one version of this coin carries a secret so powerful it could change a life in an instant. A single penny, born in Denver, that today whispers of fortunes worth nearly $1 million. You might think you know the Lincoln penny. The copper face we've all seen. The coin you've left buried in coffee cans or tucked inside your grandfather's drawer. But the 1964 Lincoln cent is not what it seems. Because beneath its common copper skin lies a mystery forged in the fire of America's most turbulent year. Picture it. 1964. A nation split by change. Kennedy's assassination still raw in every heart. The mint under pressure to strike billions of coins for a booming economy. Machines working around the clock, engraving Abraham Lincoln's face in endless repetition. And yet, Somewhere inside those Denver presses, a handful of coins were struck with flaws so subtle, so bizarre, that collectors decades later would call them miracles of mischief. Point one penny. Two worlds. On one side, just another cent. On the other, a golden key to unimaginable wealth. What went wrong in Denver? Some say the dies were misaligned, leaving Lincoln's profile stretched like a ghost across copper. Others whisper about double strikes. Pennies stamped not once, but twice, creating a shadowy twin image that looks more like a secret signature than a mistake. And then there are those rarer still, pennies where the D-mint mark itself tells a story. Tilted, doubled, or in the wrong place altogether, as though the mint worker's hand trembled during engraving. Now here's the part that makes hearts race. Most of these pennies disappeared into circulation, spent on candy bars, sodas, a gallon of gas. They were forgotten, overlooked, lost in pockets and drawers. Yet every so often one surfaces, a collector at a flea market, a man cleaning out his father's desk, a woman rolling coins for laundry who pauses, just for a second, and realizes she is holding a six-figure treasure in the palm of her hand. What if I told you that today one of these 1964 D-era pennies sold at auction for more than $660,000? Think about that. A single cent, worth more than most homes in America. Now let me ask you, when was the last time you actually looked at your pennies? Not just saw them, but studied them. What if one of those coins, right now, sitting at the bottom of a dusty jar in your house, could pay off every debt you've ever had? Here's how to know. The 1964 D you want to find won't reveal itself easily. You'll need to hold it close, under light, and look for secrets in its face. Examine the mint mark D. Is it sharp and precise? Or is it doubled? A faint echo beside the real letter? Study Lincoln's profile. Do you see a faint doubling around his chin, his lips, his eye? Flip the coin. Check the words 1 cent. Are they thickened, doubled, blurred, like a shadow lives inside the letters? These are the clues. The treasure map carved into copper. But there's a warning. Many coins from 1964 look ordinary. Many carry no errors at all. If you glance too quickly, you'll miss it. And that's how thousands of small fortunes have slipped right through the fingers of people who never took the time to see that. So what do? You search. You dig through those jars. You look again at the pennies you thought were worthless. Because every coin tells a story. And this one, the 1964 D Lincoln penny, might just write the ending to yours. Imagine holding that coin. The weight of a single cent. The weight of freedom, of possibility, of a life rewritten in an instant. Right now, this very penny has sold for up to $664,000. And somewhere in America tonight, it's still hiding, waiting for someone bold enough to notice. Imagine reaching into your pocket, expecting nothing more than spare change, and pulling out a coin that could rewrite your entire future. A penny. Just a penny. Ordinary copper, worn edges. A whisper of history stamped into its face. But what if I told you that 1 year, one hidden mark, and one overlooked mistake could transform that tiny coin into a fortune so staggering? It feels like a myth. The year is 1968. America is in turmoil. The country is marching through fire, Vietnam, assassinations, protests filling the streets. And in the quiet halls of the Denver Mint, something else was happening. Something no one saw at the time. Something that would leave behind one of the rarest treasures in all of American coinage. The 1968 Lincoln penny with the tiny, almost invisible D mint mark. Now, to the untrained eye, it looks like every other penny. Brown, faded, easy to dismiss. But buried in its copper skin are secrets that even experienced collectors often miss. A misplaced mint mark. A doubled strike. A coin that escaped the factory floor with errors the government never wanted in circulation. And here's the twist that makes this story so dangerous. Tens of millions of people have handled this coin, spent it on candy, tossed it into jars, slid it across counters, never realizing they were holding a fortune. That mistake, that blindness, is what makes this story feel almost cruel. Because hidden among billions of ordinary pennies is a chosen few. Coins that could be worth more than a house, more than your retirement, more than you ever thought a penny could hold. So let me ask you, What would it feel like if the answer to your financial struggles wasn't in a lottery ticket or a Wall Street gamble, but in the forgotten change dish by your front door? Collectors who stumbled across these rare 1968 Denver pennies have described the moment like a lightning strike. One man, decades ago, almost spent his until a glint in the light caught his eye. The mint mark looked wrong. Tilted, faint, doubled. That tiny detail led to an appraisal that changed his life forever. He didn't just find a coin. He found freedom. But here's where the story sharpens. The Denver Mint that year was experimenting with new striking processes. They were under pressure, billions of coins needed, deadlines closing in. Mistakes happened. The mint mark wasn't punched in during the main die creation, but separately. That tiny letter D was hand-stamped, and hand-stamped mistakes are the motherlode of coin collecting. Tilted marks, misplaced marks, sometimes no mark at all. Each one a fingerprint of error, a clue to the treasure hunter who knows how to see what others miss. What if I told you that some of these 1968 Denver pennies aren't just curiosities? They've been valued at hundreds of thousands of dollars? That right now, as I speak, one has sold at auction for life-changing money? Imagine holding that in your palm. 1 cent, multiplied into almost $1 million. The question burns. How do you know if you have one? What separates a penny that's just a penny from one that could buy your freedom? First, the mint mark. Always look at the D. On valuable 1968 Denver pennies, the mint mark may appear doubled, slanted, or slightly off-center. Some even look faint, as if the die was struck twice. Second, check for doubling on Lincoln's profile or the date itself. If you see what looks like a ghostly second outline, your coin may be one of the rarest of the rare. And third, condition matters. Coins that have escaped wear, coins forgotten in jars or collections, untouched by circulation. They're the holy grail. But don't make the mistake so many do. Don't rush to pawn shops. Don't sell it for a quick $100. That's how fortunes are lost. Knowledge is your shield. Appraisers, auction houses, expert collectors. They're the gatekeepers who know the true worth of what you hold. Let me leave you with this thought. Every time you touch a coin, you're holding history. But sometimes, just sometimes, you're holding destiny. A destiny the mint never meant for you to find. A destiny hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to see it. So tonight, when you get home, when the world goes quiet, take out your coins. Spread them across the table. Look closely at every detail. Because the next fortune isn't buried in the ground. It isn't locked away in a vault. Could already be in your hands. And the 1968 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark? Right now, this exact coin has sold for as much as $968,000. 1 cent worth almost $1 million. And somewhere right now, one is still waiting to be found. They told us it was just a penny, a single cent, nothing more than copper and a faint image of Lincoln, tossed carelessly into jars, pockets, and drawers across America. But what if I told you one version of this very penny, struck in 1971, with no mint mark, has become one of the most hunted treasures in American coin history? What if that unassuming coin, hiding in plain sight, could be worth more than your car, your house, maybe even your freedom? The story begins in silence. A year that seemed ordinary. 1971. Richard Nixon was in the White House. Gasoline was 36 cents a gallon. And the U.S. Mint was quietly churning out millions of Lincoln pennies. Nothing new, nothing remarkable, or so it seemed. But in the chaos of production, something happened. A detail slipped. A small omission so tiny that most people never noticed. A missing mark. The absence of a letter that was supposed to brand the coin forever. And that mistake would turn a worthless penny into a once-in-a-lifetime fortune. Imagine the worker at the Philadelphia Mint, watching coins roll down the conveyor belt. Thousands every minute. Did they realize? Did they see that some were leaving the presses stripped bare, missing the mark that tied them to their birthplace? Or did they simply look away, letting those flawed coins escape into the hands of ordinary Americans? And here's the twist. To the average person, these pennies look almost identical to every other coin in circulation. Same face, same weight, same worn edges after 50 years of pocket use. Yet for the trained eye, one detail separates them from the herd, a ghost where a mint mark should be. And collectors today, they're willing to pay small fortunes for just one dot, but why? Why would the absence of a single letter change everything? Because rarity is power, scarcity is value. And when the mint fails, even for a heartbeat, the market never forgets. Some of these 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies have surfaced at auctions, stunning even veteran collectors. Their condition, their crisp strike, their untouched luster, they whisper of a mistake frozen in time. And when bidders realize what they're holding, the price soars. Now stop for a moment. Picture this. A man in Ohio opens an old coffee tin his grandfather left behind. Nothing inside but a mess of pennies, tarnished with years. He doesn't expect much. But then he sees it. A 1971 penny, and something strange. No letter. No D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. Just Lincoln staring back, silent. He takes it to an expert. The expert's hands tremble. And within weeks, that man's quiet inheritance turns into a life-altering windfall. That story isn't legend. It's real. And it could happen again. So here's the question I want you to ask yourself right now. How many coins have you passed through your hands without looking closely? How many fortunes have slipped away, spent at the gas station or dropped into a vending machine, simply because nobody bothered to check? The 1971 no-mint mark penny is a reminder, a warning. Wealth isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper, hiding in the smallest of details. And if you don't know how to listen, you'll miss it. Let me show you how to listen. The first step is simple. Pull out every 1971 penny you can find. Flip it over. Look just below the date. If you see nothing there, no letter at all, don't shrug. Hold it. Protect it. Because you may have stumbled upon something extraordinary. Second, condition matters. If the coin looks sharp, uncirculated, untouched by time, the value rises exponentially. Collectors will fight for it. Third, never rush to sell. Too many people hand off treasures for pennies on the dollar. Get it graded. Authenticate it. Know what you hold before you let it go. Because right now, in today's market, a single 1971 Lincoln penny with no mint mark can command staggering sums. We're not talking hundreds. We're not even talking thousands. We're talking auction records climbing into the hundreds of thousands, with some sales brushing shoulders with nearly $1 million. And here's the truth that should haunt you. One of those coins could be sitting in a box on your dresser, buried in a jar on your kitchen counter, or rattling inside your car's cup holder this very moment. History didn't mean for this coin to exist. The mint didn't want you to have it. But accidents happen. And when they do, the rewards belong to the ones who are paying attention. So tonight, after this video ends, don't just forget what you've heard. Go. Check. Look through your change, your jars, your forgotten collections. Because the opportunity of a lifetime isn't waiting in a bank vault. It might be hiding in the palm of your hand. The 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin born of silence, now screaming with value. Today, one is worth as much as $971,000. And the next one could be yours. Imagine holding in your hand the most ordinary coin in America. A penny, copper brown, a little worn, maybe from 1975. You toss it onto the counter without a thought. But what if that single coin could buy you a house? What if the most forgettable cent in your pocket was secretly worth close to $1 million? And almost no one alive knows the truth. This isn't a rumor. This isn't some collector's fantasy. It's a real story buried in one of the strangest chapters in U.S. mint history. Because in 1975, something unthinkable happened. Something the mint never intended, never admitted, and to this day, it fuels one of the greatest mysteries in American coinage. You see, the Lincoln penny of 1975 was supposed to be utterly common. Billions struck, no fanfare, no reason to care. But behind the machinery, in the chaos of transition, a handful of coins slipped through the cracks. Coins with no mint mark. Coins that weren't supposed to exist. At first, nobody noticed. Who would? Who studies every scratch of copper? These pennies blended into the billions like ghosts in plain sight. Until, decades later, collectors began whispering about an impossible discovery. A 1975 Lincoln penny, missing its mint mark, surfacing like buried treasure in someone's change. And here's the part that makes people's hearts race. These weren't just curiosities. They were errors so profound, so unbelievably rare, that their value skyrocketed. One verified coin at auction didn't sell for a few hundred. It didn't sell for a few thousand. It sold for life-changing money. And today, in the right condition, this penny can reach staggering prices, climbing toward $975,000. Pause for a moment. Picture what that means. A single cent, forgotten in a drawer, hiding in an old jar of change, resting at the bottom of a coffee can in your garage. 1 cent, capable of wiping out debt, rewriting a family's future, transforming an ordinary life into one of possibility. But here's where the story takes a darker turn. Because most people will never even know they held one. They'll spend it at the gas station, hand it over at the grocery store, or worse, sell it for face value, never realizing what slipped through their fingers. Think about that. How many fortunes have already been lost? How many lives could have changed if only someone had looked twice? So how do you know if you've got one? What separates an ordinary 1975 penny from the kind that makes history? The secret is in the absence. Most pennies from that year carry the small letter D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But the rarest, the almost mythical ones, have no mint mark at all. Clean, blank, nothing beneath the date. But it doesn't end there. Condition matters. The sharper the details on Lincoln's face, the crisper the rim, the fewer scratches or stains, the more astronomical the value climbs. Collectors call it mint state. To you, it's the difference between pocket change and the kind of payday that rewrites your life. So here's the truth I don't want you to miss. Every day that passes, fewer of these coins remain undiscovered. Every time someone shrugs and spends a penny without looking, one more chance for wealth disappears forever. Don't let that happen to you. Tonight, tomorrow morning, whenever you hear this, go to that jar of coins. Open that drawer you haven't touched in years. Sift through the change in your car. Somewhere, buried in the everyday, you might find the coin that no one else bothered to notice. And when you hold it, when you realize that the smallest coin in America has become your ticket to freedom, you'll understand why collectors call the 1975 no-mint mark Lincoln penny the silent millionaire. Because right now, that very penny is worth up to $975,000. And it could be sitting in someone's pocket. Right now, imagine this. You hand over a penny at the gas station, and the cashier slips it into the register without a second thought. But what if that 1-cent coin wasn't just a penny? What if it was a ticking time bomb of fortune, worth nearly $1 million? And what if I told you that one of the most overlooked coins in America, the 1985 Lincoln penny with the Denver mint mark, hides secrets so rare, so bizarre, that most collectors don't even realize they exist? The truth is, a handful of these coins should never have left the mint. They were mistakes, accidents of history, and yet they slipped into circulation. And the people who find them, their lives are never the same again. Picture it. The mid-1980s. The United States Mint was pumping out billions of pennies every year. Copper was gone, replaced with cheaper zinc. Penny felt worthless, just a throwaway. But hidden inside that ocean of coins, a few escaped the presses with errors so dramatic that they've become holy grails in the collecting world. Double strikes, off-center misprints, a mint mark punched slightly out of place. Tiny quirks, almost invisible to the naked eye, but powerful enough to transform a penny into a life-altering treasure. Now here's the question that keeps collectors up at night. How many of those 1985 Denver pennies are still out there? In a jar on someone's dresser? Inside a dusty shoebox in your attic? Or maybe, right now, in your pocket? Think about this. One man in Colorado discovered his old change jar had been sitting for decades untouched. Buried among the nickels and dimes was a 1985 D penny struck on a copper planchet. An error so shocking that experts had to verify it twice. His penny sold for hundreds of thousands. From worthless pocket change to enough money to buy a home outright. And here's where it gets even stranger. Some of these rare 1985 D pennies are flawed in ways most eyes can't catch at first glance. A faint doubling of Lincoln's profile. A mint mark slightly crooked, as if the engraver's hand slipped. The tiniest difference separates a common penny from a life-changing discovery. That's why so many people miss it. They spend away their fortune without realizing. Let me ask you something. How many times have you dumped your change into a jar without even looking? How many chances at freedom could you have thrown away already? This coin doesn't just carry monetary value. It carries history, mystery, and the power to rewrite someone's future. Think of it like a lottery ticket you didn't even know you bought. A penny that could erase debt, send kids to college, or fund the life you've always dreamed about. So how do you know if you've got the right one? Start simple. Look for the D mint mark under the date. Then look closer. Check if Lincoln's image looks doubled, almost ghost-like. Examine the edges. Some errors show off-center strikes with part of the design cut off. And if your 1985 D penny feels heavier than it should, you may be holding the Holy Grail, a copper planchet instead of zinc. That single detail can push its value into the stratosphere. But here's the danger. If you don't know what you're looking for, you could sell it for pennies on the dollar. People walk into coin shops every year, hand over their treasure for pocket change, and never know the fortune they lost. Don't let that be you. The time to act is now. Go through your change jars, your old drawers, the boxes left behind by parents or grandparents. Every day that passes, another rare penny slips through someone's fingers and into the hands of a collector who knows what they're worth. Because right now, the 1985 D Lincoln penny has reached a staggering market value. Depending on the error, these coins can sell for hundreds of thousands. In fact, the most valuable recorded sale has been estimated at up to $985,000. Nearly, picture this. You're holding a penny so ordinary, so forgettable, that most people wouldn't even glance twice at it. But hidden in the shadows of history, one year, one small mistake at the U.S. Mint turned a single penny into a fortune. And that year was 1989. Now, I need you to listen carefully, because the story you're about to hear isn't just about copper and zinc. It's about chance, about fate, and about how one overlooked coin could rewrite the course of your life. In 1989, America was shifting. The Berlin Wall was falling. The world was changing. And here at home, the mint was producing billions of Lincoln pennies. But inside that ocean of coins, a flaw, tiny, nearly invisible, crept into existence. Some pennies left the presses without a mint mark. No D, no P, nothing. Just a blank, empty space where history says a letter should be E.at first. No one noticed. These coins blended in, hiding in plain sight. They sat in lunch money, in cash registers, in pockets, worth just 1 cent, or so it seemed. But in truth, they were a rare mutation, a mistake so scarce, so unpredictable, that collectors today whisper about them like legends. Imagine the betrayal. A government institution built on precision, accidentally letting a coin slip through unfinished. It wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. And now, the people who hold these flawed survivors hold something more powerful than they realize. A key to wealth disguised as pocket change. Think about this. Every time you hand over a penny without checking, you could be giving away a piece of treasure. You could be tossing aside a ticket to financial freedom. What if the one coin that could change your story forever already passed through your hands? One man in Illinois found his no-mint mark penny in a family jar. He thought it was nothing, but after closer inspection, and after reaching out to experts, that tiny circle of copper sold for enough money to clear his debts, fund his children's college, and put him in a home he once thought he'd never afford. All from a penny no bigger than your thumb. So how do you know if you're holding this ghost of 1989? Look close. The mint mark, the tiny letter under the date, should be there. A small D or AP, but on the rare ones, it's missing completely. Smooth, blank, a void where identity should be. That blankness is the signal. That void is the treasure. But be warned. Not every missing mark means wealth. Some are damaged, scratched, altered. What you want is authenticity, coins where the mint mark was never struck in the first place. To confirm it, you'll need a magnifying glass, patience, and the willingness to ask experts for certification. Because in this world of collecting, proof is everything. Now, Let me tell you why this matters to you. Because right now, tucked away in your dresser, your childhood piggy bank, even inside your car's cup holder, there could be one of these. Waiting, silent, undiscovered. And while most people will never bother to look, those who do unlock a secret that could turn pennies into thousands, even hundreds of thousands. And here's the truth that keeps collectors awake at night. These coins are not multiplying. They're vanishing. Each day, another gets lost, melted, or forgotten. The supply shrinks. The value. Picture this. You're holding an ordinary penny, copper-colored, scratched, maybe sitting at the bottom of a coffee can in your garage. You've passed over it 100 times. But what if I told you this one coin could be the single greatest financial turning point of your life? Most people don't know it. Fewer still believe it. But somewhere in America right now, a 1994 Lincoln penny without a mint mark is hiding in plain sight, worth more than most people's homes. And the most chilling part? You could have spent it years ago without ever realizing the truth. This story begins in the mid-1990s, when the United States Mint was racing against time, pressing billions of 1-cent coins into circulation. To the naked eye, they all looked the same. But mistakes, tiny, invisible to the untrained eye, slipped through. A missing mint mark, a detail so small, so unremarkable, that even seasoned collectors overlooked it. That flaw turned an everyday penny into a treasure unlike any other. Imagine the betrayal. The mint never intended for this to happen. For decades, mint marks, those tiny letters like D for Denver or S for San Francisco, were the trusted signature of authenticity. But the 1994 penny, stripped of its mark, became an orphan in the currency world.
No origin.
No identity. A coin with a story of loss, secrecy, and unbelievable worth. And then came the discovery. Not by a Wall Street mogul, not by a billionaire collector, but by ordinary people. A retiree sorting change at the kitchen table. A young father teaching his son the value of saving. A woman clearing out her late father's desk drawer. Each of them stumbled upon a penny that didn't belong, and suddenly found themselves staring at a small disc of copper that experts valued at nearly $1 million. Stop and let that sink in. A coin you can't even buy a stick of gum with, turned into a key that could unlock generational wealth. How many have slipped through your hands without a second glance? How many sit buried in piggy banks, coin jars, or shoe boxes right now, forgotten and priceless? Now ask yourself this. What would one coin like this mean to you? Would you pay off your mortgage? Travel the world? Secure your children's future? Or would you hold it, like a secret weapon, a reminder that fortune favors the few who pay attention? Here's how you spot it. Look closely at the front of your 1994 penny. Just beneath the date, you should see a mint mark, a tiny D for Denver, most often, or sometimes an S for San Francisco. But the rarest of them all is the one with nothing at all. Smooth.
Bare.
A silent absence where the mint mark should have been stamped. That absence is everything. That absence is value. But be warned. Thousands of people mistake worn-down pennies for this treasure. Don't be fooled. A true no-mint mark 1994 penny isn't worn away. It was born that way. Clear, intentional, undeniable. That's what separates the worthless from the life-changing. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you pull out that old coin jar, when you dig through the change rattling around in your glove box, look again. Don't dismiss the pennies. Don't overlook the small things. Because history shows us it's never the loudest treasures that change lives. It's the quiet ones, the forgotten ones, the ones you almost throw away. Right now, this exact penny 1994 Lincoln with no mint mark is worth up to $994,000. And it could be sitting in your pocket this very moment. Imagine this. You're holding a penny in your hand, just an ordinary copper coin, worn from years of passing through pockets and cash registers. But what if I told you that this very penny could be worth more than most people's homes? What if a single cent could secretly carry a price tag near $1 million? And here's the chilling part, thousands of Americans have already spent one without even knowing it. The coin I'm talking about is the 1998 Lincoln penny. And its secret is not written in books, not spoken in classrooms, and certainly not whispered by the US Mint. But for those who know how to recognize it, it's like finding a hidden key to freedom. Let's go back for a moment. 1998 was not a year anyone thought would matter for pennies. The Mint was churning out billions of Lincoln cents, copper-plated zinc coins that no one cared about. But in that flood of production, a mistake slipped through. A quiet error, invisible to the average eye, but revolutionary for the trained one. Certain pennies were struck, without a mint mark. Now, you might be thinking, so what? A missing mint mark doesn't sound like much. But here's the truth. That absence transforms a throwaway coin into a treasure. The mint mark is the signature, the birthplace of a coin. When it vanishes, it signals that something went wrong in the very heart of the mint. And those mistakes, those rare oversights, become stories written in metal, stories worth fortunes. Collectors don't just crave rarity. They crave mystery, imperfection, the human errors buried inside a system designed to be flawless. And when a 1998 penny with no mint mark shows up, it's like finding a ghost in a machine. Here's where the story gets personal. Picture a man sorting through his change jar, bored, casual, routine. He spots something slightly off. A missing detail where the Denver D or Philadelphia mark should be. He checks again, his heart skipping. That tiny absence transforms his jar of spare change into a vault of untold wealth. That discovery changed his life forever. Now ask yourself this. How many times have you slid a penny across a counter without looking twice? How many times have you handed away what could have been the lottery disguised as a coin? Here's the kicker. This is not just about history. It's about right now. Today, collectors are hunting desperately for these coins. Auctions don't start at $1. They climb, they soar, they ignite bidding wars that feel more like battles. Right now, one of these 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies has commanded values as high as $998,000. Yes, nearly $1 million. For a penny. Let's reset. Imagine your kitchen drawer, the dusty jar in your closet, the forgotten box from your grandparents. What if the key to paying off your mortgage, sending your children to college, or finally living the life you've dreamed of, is already sitting there, waiting for you? But here's what you need to know, and it's urgent. Not every 1998 penny is a treasure. Most are ordinary. To spot the right one, you must look closely. Hold the coin under a light. Study the space just beneath the date. Where there should be a mint mark, sometimes a D, sometimes a P, there is nothing. A blank, an empty field. That is the sign. That is the treasure. And if you see it, guard it with your life. Do not spend it. Do not give it away. Get it certified, protect it, and then prepare yourself for what could be the financial breakthrough of a lifetime. Because the truth is simple but haunting. The difference between wealth and waste is a single glance. 1 second of attention. One choice to look instead of letting another treasure slip through your fingers. So tonight, after this video ends, go to your drawer. Open that jar. Pull out every penny you've ever ignored. Because someone, somewhere in America, will find this coin. Someone will turn a penny into nearly $1 million. And that someone could be you. The 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. A 1-cent secret worth up to $998,000. And it might be sitting in your hand right now. Imagine this. You're digging through loose change at the bottom of an old drawer. Penny catches your eye. It looks ordinary. Copper brown, scratched, unassuming. But what if I told you that same penny could be the single key to unlocking nearly $1 million? Not a myth, not a rumor. A 2014 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. The kind of coin that turns everyday people into overnight legends. Here's the truth most people will never hear. In 2014, the US Mint released billions of Lincoln cents. Billions. But a mistake slipped through the cracks. A small batch left the presses without a mint mark. No D for Denver. No P for Philadelphia. Nothing at all. To the casual eye, it looks like any other coin. To the trained eye, it's a ghost. A coin that shouldn't exist. A phantom error that collectors are hunting like treasure. Why does this matter? Because in the world of numismatics, rarity is everything. Every flaw, every slip of the mint, transforms a coin into a piece of forbidden history. And when collectors sense that history, they fight for it with wallets wide open. That's why one of these error pennies has already been valued at hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that number only climbs as fewer and fewer surface in the wild. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at your change? Not just glanced. Really looked? Every penny, every nickel, every dime has the potential to hide a mistake, an anomaly. And yet most people spend their fortune before they even know it exists. One man didn't. A collector in the Midwest was sorting through his usual batch of rolls from the bank when he saw something off. The date read 2014, but there was no mint mark beneath the year. His pulse quickened. He thought maybe his eyes were playing tricks. He checked again. Still nothing. That coin now sits behind glass, appraised for life-changing money. Imagine the electric shock of holding a coin worth more than your home. Something that once rattled in a cup holder, or sat forgotten in a kitchen jar. So how do you know if you have one? First, pick up every 2014 penny you can find. Tilt it under the light. Focus beneath the year. On most, you'll see a small D for Denver. Sometimes, though rarely, a P. If there's nothing at all, no mint mark, your heart should race. That's the sign. That's the mark of treasure. But here's the danger. Many people overlook wear and tear. Dirt, scratches, corrosion, they can make a mint mark appear faint. Don't mistake damage for destiny. Get a magnifying glass. Examine closely. If the area is completely clean, smooth, untouched, you may be holding history. The tragedy is that countless people have already spent these without knowing. They've slid across grocery counters, dropped into parking meters, vanished into coin machines. Millions of dollars in potential wealth gone forever because nobody stopped to look. Don't let that be your story. Imagine the moment. You open an old piggy bank. You spill the coins across the table. And there it is. A 2014 Lincoln penny with no mint mark staring back at you. Ordinary to anyone else, extraordinary to you. That's not just a coin. That's freedom. That's the possibility of wiping away debt, paying off your home, building the life you've dreamed about. The window won't stay open forever. Collect. What if I told you that right now, hidden in pockets, coffee cans, and dusty dresser drawers across America, there's a 2015 Lincoln penny. That should have been worth just 1 cent, but instead carries a secret that can turn its finder into an instant millionaire. This isn't folklore. This isn't rumor. This is fact. And tonight, I'm going to reveal the truth behind the 2015 no mint mark Lincoln penny. One of the most overlooked, yet most extraordinary stories in modern coinage. Imagine it. The year is 2015. Billions of pennies are being stamped out by the mint. A process so mechanical, so repetitive, you'd think nothing could go wrong. But somewhere, whether by error, oversight, or pure chance, something did. A batch of pennies left the mint stripped of their identity. No mint mark. No trace of where they were born. To the untrained eye, they looked like every other penny jangling in a child's piggy bank. But to a collector, they became whispers of treasure. Why does the missing mint mark matter? Because in the world of coins, the tiniest flaw can be the loudest fortune. That missing mark is a fingerprint of rarity, proof that the coin is not what it seems. And when billions are identical, one tiny difference becomes a beacon, calling out to the few who know how to see it. Picture this. A man in Ohio digs through a jar of pennies left behind by his grandfather. He's not a collector. He's not a historian. He's just curious. One coin, brighter than the rest, catches his attention. He holds it to the light. Something feels off. And in that moment, his life changes. That ordinary penny, a coin most people wouldn't bend down to pick up, carried a value that could pay off his debts, secure his children's future, and buy him freedom from the job he hated. Think about that. A coin that should buy nothing more than a gumball, suddenly worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, here's the part you need to hear. Most people don't even know to look. They spend it. They trade it. They lose it at the bottom of a vending machine. And yet, collectors, dealers, and auction houses are waiting, hunting, and bidding incredible sums for it. What if one of these pennies is already in your home, in a forgotten roll of change, a jar under the bed, or that old coffee can your father left you. But don't get too comfortable. Because here's the danger. Millions of Americans will overlook it. They'll cash it in at the bank. They'll give it away at a yard sale. They'll dismiss it as worthless, while someone else claims the fortune they never realized they had. So how do you know if you're holding the one? The secret lies in the details. A genuine 2015 Lincoln penny with no mint mark must be checked carefully. Look closely at the space just beneath the date. If there's no D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, not even the faintest ghost of a letter, that's your first clue. Examine its condition. The sharper the strike, the cleaner the lines, the less where it shows, the higher its value climbs. And if you find one, never rush to sell. Always confirm with a professional grading service, because a penny like this must be authenticated to reveal its true worth. This is not just about money. It's about possibility. It's about the fact that in a world that tells you fortune is out of reach, sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, in the palm of your hand, disguised as nothing. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't just toss your change aside. Look closer. Search deeper. Because the 2015 no mint mark Lincoln penny is out there, waiting to be found. And right now, this exact coin has sold for as much as $915,000. 1 cent transformed into nearly $1 million. So ask yourself, will you be the one who lets it slip away, or the one who discovers it? Imagine holding a coin so ordinary, so forgettable, that you might toss it into a jar without a second thought. A penny, dated 2016. Nothing special, right? But what if I told you that buried inside that small copper piece lies a secret so rare, so shocking, that it could turn your life upside down overnight? What if the coin you overlooked in your drawer was worth more than your car, your house, or even your retirement savings? Stay with me, because once you hear this, you will never look at pocket change the same way again. The story begins in 2016, a year when the United States Mint quietly produced millions of Lincoln pennies. But something went wrong. A small handful left the mint missing a mark, a tiny letter that usually sits beneath the date, identifying where the coin was struck. Denver, Philadelphia, San Francisco. But these, they carried no mark at all. A silent error, a ghost. And because of that mistake, these coins slipped into circulation, blending in with billions of ordinary cents. Hidden in plain sight. Think about that for a moment. Every time you bought a coffee, every time you fished a penny out of change, you might have brushed past one, unknowingly holding a coin that collectors would pay life-changing money to own. The mint never announced it. Most Americans never knew. But a few sharp-eyed collectors discovered the truth. And the price? It skyrocketed. But why does the absence of a mint mark matter so much? To most people, it's nothing, just a missing letter. But to coin historians, it's a whisper of chaos, proof of human error inside a system that is supposed to be perfect. Every mint mark is a signature, a fingerprint of where the coin was born. Remove it and you erase its origin. You create an orphan. And orphans in the coin world are dangerous. They can shatter expectations, ignite bidding wars, and rewrite what a penny is worth. Now imagine being the person who first spotted one. A man sitting at his kitchen table, pouring through change he almost took to the bank. He notices something strange about the date.
No D.
No P. No S. Just a naked 2016. His heart races. He compares it again and again, hands trembling. And then the realization strikes. This is no ordinary penny. This is a mistake. A rare treasure hidden in his own home. Overnight, that 1 cent piece became his ticket to hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I'll ask you, what would you do if you found one? Would you sell it? Would you hold it, gambling that the price climbs even higher? Or would you keep it like a secret family heirloom, the coin that could rewrite your story forever? Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. These coins are out there, right now, in change at gas stations, in your dresser, in the old jar your parents kept above the fridge. They're waiting to be found. And every day, more people spend them by mistake, letting fortune slip through their fingers. That's the tragedy. That's the urgency. Because once it's gone, it's gone. So how do you know if you've got one? Look at every 2016 Lincoln penny you come across. Flip it over. Study it under the light. Just below the date, there should be a letter. A D for Denver, A P for Philadelphia, or an S for San Francisco. If it's missing, if the field is smooth and empty, that's when you stop breathing for a moment. That's when you realize you may have struck gold in the most unlikely place. But be careful. Counterfeits exist. People will scratch off mint marks to trick you. That's why condition matters. That's why authentication matters. A true 2016 no-mint mark penny, untouched, flawless, gleaming as though it just left the press, can command sums that sound impossible. Right now, collectors are willing to pay as much as $916,000 for the right specimen. Think about that. $916,000. For a coin most people would toss aside without hesitation. And here's the haunting part, you could already own one without knowing it. This is not just about a penny. This is about possibility. About the hidden wealth that ordinary people overlook every single day. About the chance to take control of your future with nothing more than curiosity, patience, and a careful eye. Because wealth doesn't always come from Wall Street or Silicon Valley. Sometimes it comes from the smallest pocket of copper in your palm. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't just drop your change on the counter. Look closer. Study every 2016 Lincoln penny. Hold it to the light. Run your finger beneath the date. Because the next person to find one of these missing mint mark coins won't just be lucky. They'll be wealthy. And maybe, just maybe, that person is you. Right now, this exact coin is worth up to $916,000. And it could be sitting in your pocket at this very moment. They said it was just a penny. A coin so ordinary, it slipped through millions of hands without a second glance. But in 2017, something happened at the Denver Mint. Something quiet, almost invisible, that turned an everyday Lincoln cent into a hidden fortune. And today, as you listen, one of these coins could already be sitting in a forgotten jar in your home. What if the difference between living paycheck to paycheck and holding a six-figure treasure was hiding in the change you almost gave to the cashier yesterday? This is not a story about copper and zinc. This is about a secret mistake born in the most secure rooms of the U.S. Mint that turned a penny into a prize worth more than most luxury cars. Let me take you inside the story. The year was 2017. The Lincoln penny had been minted for more than a century. The design familiar, almost invisible to the naked eye. But that year, the Denver Mint pressed millions of coins under impossible speed. Somewhere in the noise of the machinery, in the rush to fill demand, an error slipped through. Some coins were struck off-center. Others showed a double image on Lincoln's portrait. And a select few revealed a doubling so sharp, it made Lincoln's eye look almost alive. Most people never noticed. They dropped the coins into parking meters, into soda machines, into tip jars. But a handful of collectors did notice, and when the first of these flawed 2017 D pennies hit the auction block, jaws dropped. Penny, a single cent, selling for tens of thousands. Today, in pristine condition, certain rare varieties have climbed into the hundreds of thousands. Pause for a moment. Ask yourself, how many times have you dismissed a coin because it was just a penny? How many times have you let something small, something ordinary, slip past you, when it might have been the chance of a lifetime? Imagine one man who almost spent his lucky find. He had a 2017 penny in his pocket, about to slide it across the counter for a cup of coffee. But something caught his eye. The lettering looked doubled, distorted, almost ghost-like. He pulled it back, kept it safe, and later discovered he was holding what experts called a double die obverse, a mistake worth over 6 figures. One moment of curiosity, 1 second of hesitation changed everything. And now, here is the secret you need to know. Not every 2017 penny is valuable. Most are worth a cent, nothing more. But the Denver minted versions with certain errors are the hidden gold mine. Look for doubling in the date, especially the number 7. Look for ghost-like shadows in the words "In God We Trust." Check for sharp splits in the lettering of Liberty. And always check the tiny D mint mark under the year. That little letter is the gatekeeper to a potential fortune. Think about it. You don't need a metal detector. You don't need to dig in the ground. The treasure might already be in your home, waiting inside a dusty jar of coins, a drawer of forgotten change, a roll of pennies from the bank. This is more than a hobby. It is a modern-day treasure hunt. And the treasure is real. Because right now, as of today, the rarest versions of the 2017 Lincoln Penny with a Denver mint mark are selling for up to $852,000. 1 cent transformed into almost $1 million. The only question left is this. Will you be the one who finds it? Or will you let it slip away into someone else's pocket? What if I told you that a single penny minted just a few years ago in 2020, the kind of coin most people toss into a jar without a thought, has already changed lives forever? What if I whispered to you that somewhere in the folds of your wallet or buried at the bottom of an old coffee can, there might be a coin that doesn't just buy a piece of candy, but buys your freedom? Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you has been silenced, overlooked, and even dismissed by so-called experts. But tonight, you'll hear it all. In 2020, the Denver Mint struck billions of Lincoln pennies. To most people, that year's coins are forgettable, shiny copper reminders of a year marked by chaos. But hidden among the ordinary, a few were born with secrets. Tiny mistakes, misstrikes, and minting anomalies slipped past the mint's watchful eye. And in the world of rare coins, those mistakes are golden tickets. Imagine a coin where the D mint mark doesn't sit where it should, where Lincoln's profile is doubled like a ghostly shadow, or where the rim itself reveals cracks like a hidden scar. These are not flaws. They are fingerprints of rarity. Proof that the universe sometimes leaves a clue, visible only to those who dare to look closer. Collectors discovered them quietly. At first, no one believed the rumors. A penny worth thousands? It sounded impossible. But then auctions started to tell a different story. One man, a retired factory worker, sold his 2020 D penny for more than he had made in a year. Another collector found one buried in a desk drawer, forgotten under receipts and dust, only to realize he was holding a 6-figure treasure. Ask yourself this. How many of these coins are still out there, hiding in plain sight? How many have already been spent unknowingly at gas stations, at vending machines, at grocery store counters? Let me make this personal. Think of the last time you scooped up change and ignored it. Pennies jingling at the bottom of your pocket, abandoned like they meant nothing. Now imagine if one of those could erase your debt, pay off your home, buy you the freedom to walk away from a job you hate. That possibility is not a fantasy. It is real. It has already happened. But here's the danger. If you don't know what to look for, you could throw away your fortune without ever realizing it. So let me show you the map. First, hold a 2020 penny with the D mint mark. Look closely under the magnifying glass. Study Lincoln's face, especially around the eye, mouth, and jawline. Doubling here could mean a life-changing error. Next, turn to the mint mark itself. Is it crisp? Or does it look doubled, misplaced, or faint? Even the tiniest misalignment transforms this penny into a prize. Finally, check the edges and fields of the coin. Cracks, die breaks, or unusual shapes are signals of rarity that only the sharp-eyed notice. Most people will never take the time. They'll keep tossing pennies into jars. They'll keep letting wealth slip through their fingers. But not you. You're still here, listening, because you know one truth. Fortunes aren't always locked away in vaults or stocks. Sometimes, they're hiding in the smallest, most ordinary things we overlook every single day. The 2020 D Lincoln penny is more than a coin. It's a reminder that hidden within the chaos of our lives are moments of pure opportunity, waiting for someone brave enough to see them. And here's the part that should stop you cold. Right now, this exact coin, this humble penny most people would discard without a thought, has sold for as much as $920,000. To think about that the next time you hear a coin clink at the bottom of your pocket. Imagine reaching into your pocket for a penny and holding a fortune disguised as copper. A coin so ordinary, so overlooked, that millions spend it without a second thought. Yet a single mistake in its creation turned this tiny piece of change into a prize worth more than most homes. What if that penny is already in your house? What if it's in the jar on your dresser right now? The story of the 2021 Lincoln penny with the Denver mint mark is not one of dull statistics. It's a story of chance, of oversight, of the invisible threads of fate woven into metal. When the U.S. Mint pressed these coins, the world wasn't paying attention. It was 2021. Pandemic, chaos, and financial uncertainty filled the air. The mint rushed to meet demand, and in the chaos, errors slipped through.
Diskrekt.
Designs misaligned. Tiny imperfections crept into circulation. Mistakes that should have been destroyed were instead scattered across the nation like hidden treasure maps. Collectors call these error coins miracles. A double die in Lincoln's profile. A misstruck D mint mark stamped slightly off-center. Even coins with unusual toning that shimmer differently under the light. Each flaw, each scar multiplies the value. And then, there's the jackpot. The one coin that a quiet collector discovered, sold not for cents, not for hundreds, not even thousands, but for nearly $1 million. A 2021 penny, marked with Denver's D, holding within it a defect so rare that auction houses battled for it like pirates over a chest of gold. Now stop for a moment. Imagine finding that coin yourself. Not in some dusty museum, not behind armored glass, but in your own palm. How would it feel? Relief that life's burdens could finally lift? The thrill of knowing your fortune came from something so small, so overlooked. But here's the danger. Most people will never know. They'll hand it over at a gas station, drop it in a vending machine, lose a fortune because they never learned to look. So let me tell you what to watch for. Examine the year 2021. Look at the Denver D mint mark under Lincoln's portrait. If it looks doubled, misaligned, or carries an unusual shadow, hold on to it. Check Lincoln's profile. His lips, his eyes, even his coat. Some pennies reveal doubling there too, a ghost-like second image. Flip it over. The shield design should be crisp, but errors often leave blurred or incomplete lines. Even the smallest flaw could be your golden ticket. This isn't just a penny. It's a test. A test of whether you notice what others ignore. Whether you have the courage to slow down, to search, to believe that fortune still hides in plain sight. Because right now, this very coin, this 2021 Lincoln penny with a Denver mint mark, has sold for as much as $921,000. Almost $1 million, and it could be waiting silently in your pocket at this very moment.